Yep.
Okay, good morning, everybody.
Morning.
We'll get started with our meeting. We've got a kind of a lengthy agenda, but we're going to run through a lot of it without getting too long-winded, hopefully.
I thought this meeting was going to have 2 days.
Yeah, right? It could be. It could be. Scott White is not going to be with us. He's down in Virginia. And Scott suggested, look, after he looked at the agenda, that maybe we ought to bring dinner in instead of just lunch. So, right. Oh, okay. Can we start off with an approval for the minutes? Any discussion? All in favor? And the treasurer's report, Glenn, the IDA and the LDC.
Okay, under the IDA, nothing really to report with the accounts. Just wanted to mention. Jim, did we want to talk about the savings account in executives?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right. So just wanted to point out that we are showing the 2 receivables due to the IDA. One is from the Sewage Works Corporation. Previously, that was a higher amount. We're still working that down. I was hoping to have it paid off this month. Industry payments are a little slow, as is typical. So hopefully by next month, I'll be able to report that that balance is wiped out. Then the remaining one is from Sheffield Estate. Paying some of the bank taxes and some maintenance related costs on behalf of the LDC, which doesn't have the funding to do that, which may be another topic of conversation later on.
Yep.
Okay. Then under the LDC, I don't have anything to report there unless there's questions. Okay. Now we want to jump right into the loan
Yep.
report. Okay, so let me just go down IDA by number 4. You know, it's an annoyance, but this credit, they pay twice a year. You know, so we're due for our second payment and they're gonna pay through the end of January. And then next May or June, they're gonna pay for 6 months, and then at the end of the summer, they pay for 6 months. It's annoyance, but they always get it. Number 6 made 1 payment, they're just 1 behind. Number 7 and 8, Tab and Evan, you guys were working with them to come back onto payments. Has that started yet?
I've gotten all her information. Did she call? Sorry, wants to call today. Okay.
All right, so we're gonna start getting back on track with that account. That'll be there and then also reflected in the lease payments down below as well. Number 17, there's a back due balance. He has resumed payments. He's due for August, but other than that, he's come back to making payments. 18 and 19, we want to discuss later.
Yeah, we'll do that in executive session.
Executive session. Number 21, no real update other than that Evan and I were contacted by a woman who is interested in purchasing that property. So we haven't had a chance. I saw you respond to it. So we haven't had a chance either, Evan or I. I'm not sure who's going to do it. Probably him. But we haven't gotten that far yet.
And either way, he's coming back on full payment September 1st.
Okay.
And then number 25, did you have a chance to make that call?
I was not able to make contact.
Okay.
So
All right, we'll keep working on them. They were off payments for a long time due to some zoning related difficulties. Okay, then on the LDC side, number 11, they're making a payment plus a little bit more to get caught up on the back balance.
And I recently put them on deferment just because of the conversation we kind of had that they're struggling in numerous ways to try and get ahead of whatever trouble they have. I thought a deferment would probably be the best way for a few months.
Yeah, now the terms of the deferment are that he's required to prove to us that he's getting paid up with all his suppliers.
He just did open yesterday,
Okay,
so I didn't get a chance to wait.
no, so in return for not making payments up, he's got to get current with all his suppliers and get back open and running, so that's good. Number 13, that's in progress. Number 15. There was a payment last week from them, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was a recent.
All right, I think, was it before or after this one out?
After this one, I think.
Yeah, okay, so they just made a payment, so they're caught up. Number 23. Were you were gonna meet with them down in Hancock last week, right?
Yep, this was not a part of the discussion. I didn't realize that.
Okay, yeah. Just, they've fallen a little bit behind. We'll get in touch with them. We're not worried about it. Should we be? Like,
Which one?
number 23 on the LDC.
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, I mean, everything seems to be going right.
running good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 29, they just made a payment last week. Number 38, we sent a offer sheet to a settlement offer and we just haven't heard back.
Mhm.
We
It was
were-
emailed and we want a physical address.
Yes, so
Working
we're,
on.
the person no longer lives in the area. We've got some people helping us to try to get an updated address so we can send them certified mail for the offer. And that's it.
That's it. Okay. Any questions on the loan report or the financials? So may I have a motion to pay the bills and accept the financial reports? All in favor? Thank you. Marketing proposal, I guess
That's you.
that's me. I've been getting a lot of phone calls from local businesses that are having trouble finding employees, surprise, surprise. And I had a long discussion with a business owner in Walton about the situation of the employees, and his theory was that with all the new people coming into the area, that they've sold their existing land and so forth to people from downstate, and the local people have sold their land to people from downstate, and then they've just promptly packed their bags and left for North Carolina, which in some cases is true. I understand that. But I also feel that there's a pool of potential labor and potential business people there that we haven't been able to reach and talk to. And I'm sure that there's people that are here that have relocated to the area because of COVID. They're either able to work from home due to the internet access that we were lucky to have in place, or they're looking for something to do. They're recently retired. And I think there's a pool of these people that could be potential business purchasers. There also, some of them have connections to move for us to talk to about possibly moving part of their business to the area here. And other people are looking for part-time work to do something. So I've been kind of scratching my head on how to reach this new labor pool that we have. And one of the things that I came up with is that Nicole's store in Andes seems to be kind of like the central location where they all focus. And I talked to her about it, and she has a mailing list of approximately 2,000 people that would fit into that category. And so what I would like to talk about and propose is that we put together some kind of a reception or meet and greet, call it what you wish, at her place, and maybe do it sometime towards the end of September. She's got a liquor license, so we could do wine and cheese right there on site. And invite these people to come in, and she would be happy to work with us and help us go through the mailing list and call out the best prospects that she knows of on her list. And I'd like to have Evan and Glenn come over and any of you and just meet whoever shows up at this and talk a little bit about what the IDA or LDC can do to help them purchase a business, about what businesses might be available in the area. And talk to them about potentially moving all or part of their business from downstate up here. And also the employment question. So I just wanted to bring that up to the board and get your input on that.
I think it's a fantastic idea. To way for these people to network, because they probably don't even know who's here amongst themselves that have bought.
Mhm.
So I think it's a great opportunity. Somehow we need to come up with a listing of maybe some of the businesses we have or positions that are available that they don't even know about. Or we could do that marketing afterwards, after the meet and greet. You can kind of get a background of them and send them certain companies that meet their criteria or whatever. But I think it's a super idea, because we're not doing anything with this group. They haven't fit into the community in a lot of cases because they don't know anybody yet, or
Right.
or just, they know their neighbor or something. But this is a great opportunity. And picking Cole's place, and that's where they're going now, a
Mhm.
lot of them to pick up stuff, so they're already familiar with it. It's not like they're going to a strange place or something. So I think it's super good. I think we can get a lot of feedback out of that.
Are you looking to do this on a weekend or during the week? Or have you decided?
I haven't even gotten that far, Andy. Probably it would be best to do it on a weekend, but I know, on the other hand, I know that she's pretty busy on most weekends, because she has jazz entertainment there and a lot of people.
Most people come from the city though.
Oh, no, I know.
Yeah, but a lot of them are here all week.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about maybe the people that have bought the place
Mhm.
and have now moved.
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
We need to let them know what's available. What resources are available to them, so I think it's super.
And it's basically gonna be a meet and greet. Is there gonna be any type of programs that we would offer during that time, or it's gonna be more of a just people can come in and we'll discuss what's going on?
I think we should do a little presentation as to what resources we have to work with. And I mean, I feel it's important to reach out to the new residents of the county and say, hey, we want to work with you. Welcome. And-
Should we put a questionnaire together that they could fill out in 30 seconds or something?
We could, yeah.
We're retired and we're here to relax and not be bothered. Or, we moved because of COVID and we're looking for something to do. Or-
And this, after I talked about this new workforce, this business owner actually hired someone who had just moved here and recently retired downstate as a bookkeeper. And working part-time. And then the whole discussion about, well, I live on a dirt road and once the snow flies, I'm not gonna leave except to go get groceries. And the answer is work from your living room.
Right.
So it worked out for everybody.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great opportunity. We're missing that sector in our dealings here, so real good.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and get some hard numbers put together as far as cost and so forth.
Good money invested. huh?
So I'm gonna have to send everybody an email when I get the prices. And get things firmed up a little better, and then we can deal with it, because we're not gonna have our meeting until, next meeting until the end of September. Which is when I
So
wanted.
are we looking to do it in September? I think that would be ideal if we could, but that's very close. I don't know if we have enough time to get everything out.
I think we do. Because she's got the list and it's an email list. So I think it's just a matter of culling out the ones that she think would be most apt to respond to something like that, and then hitting the emails.
Right, and this first one may just be a test, you know, when you do it, this one late fall, maybe we're like, wow, we've had more turnout than we thought. You know, let's plan a bigger one, or, you know, remember this in the spring and re-hit them again.
Great, good.
Okay,
I think what we have to try to do is reach out to all parts of the county so we get
Yes,
business people there from.
yeah, no doubt, and but I just focused on the cold store because I know that's
I think that's a good location.
kind of the hotbed.
Yeah,
Very central.
but that's a starting point. If it's
Yeah.
successful, maybe we do one on the other side of town.
That's fine.
right.
One in industrial park.
It gets good outreach.
Yeah, good.
Okay, I'll get more information to you pretty quick here. Thank you. Do you want to hold the loans for executive
Why don't
session?
we go in now?
All right. Can I have a motion to go into executive session? We've got to discuss a couple loans and some other financial issues. Thank you. All right, we're out of executive session. We talked about 3 loans. The first loan I need to vote on is for George Shackleton.
Second.
Any further discussion on that? All in favor? Bruce abstains, sustains. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The second loan was, we'll vote on Maple Shade Farms.
I'll make that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And the third loan that we discussed was Kennedy PH.
Yeah.
Oh, that's under the LDC, sorry. That's it for resolutions, okay. Glenn, we'll jump into the updates.
Okay, I'm gonna whip through these as quick as possible in the interest of time. I do have a Zoom meeting at 1. I tried to push it back, but that's when I do it. Okay, so hidden in, open, running, everything's good there. They've had great response from the community.
Yes.
You know, we're working through the issues of the grant that is being administered through the LDC. I should have put it under the LDC. You know, they've received the first drawdown of grant funding. We're working on the second one, which would complete the funding that was made available to them through Office of Community Renewal of $98,000. So that'll all be dispersed to them within the next several weeks. Everything's good there.
I did it there over the weekend. You couldn't get a table.
Yes,
They were booked up until 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And it started around, we tried to get reservation at 6.
yeah,
And
So-
the food was excellent.
yeah, it's packed. Great reviews from people who've been
Yep.
there. So, yeah, hold for the bar and
It's a winner.
The quick thing, how about the rooms upstairs?
yep, they're all open, so they've got 8 fully furnished rooms, they're booking them, I don't know in terms of you know, whether they're booked out or what. But
Those all floors are finished
yes,
now.
the second and third floor are fully finished and occupied.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Dennis, they had a wedding party there over the weekend. I don't know how many people it was, but they took the rooms upstairs.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah.
Okay, so Delhi Pipeline, slow progress there. So where we're at is we are, still at some stage of negotiating a, use agreement, but that's Delhi Sewer Works business. In addition to that, we are moving forward, or we believe we have agreement to move forward with the new pipeline project. As you recall, we've got a grant from Empire State Development for $430,000. I sent a project funding agreement out to the industries to lay out how the project would work and that they would be on the hook for everything that is not covered by a grant. Well, I guess everybody's on vacation all summer long, so that's kind of gone a little slow. But it is anticipated that once we get some agreement on that document, we will then also be moving forward with an EDA application for additional funding for the pipeline.
Is the pipeline going to eventually be owned by our corporation?
It is owned by the Delhi Sewer Works Corporation.
Will it be-
We are the sole shareholder.
And it will
The
remain.
plan is that, we, at some point, the IDA would sell the shares, its shares of the Delhi Sewer Works Corporation to the users. At some.
In your lifetime?
For $1.
Yes, for $1. Yes. But so other than that, everything is going well. We've had no issues, you know, routine maintenance stuff is being taken care of, everything's fine. Delhi wastewater treatment plant study, as you recall, the IDA received $45,000 from the county under the American Rescue Plan Act to study the required upgrades to the Delhi wastewater treatment plant to continue to meet the industrial needs. There's been a wide divergence of opinion over what's needed. This is hiring a third party to come in and say, this is what's actually needed. So then we have firm ground to move forward with how we take care of that. It could potentially be rolled into the pipeline project, which would be advantageous, but it's probably too good to hope for. Village of Franklin, study,
When is that scheduled to be done?
hopefully by the end of the year.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I should have included that. So study expected by the end of the year. Village of Franklin, the IDA also received a $4,000 grant from the county through the same source of funding to undertake a septic study for the Village of Franklin. In the Village of Franklin, in the main portion of their main street, there are 5 buildings that are essentially attached to them. 2 of them have working septic systems. The other 3 do not. So, and there is no room, there is very limited room to do a septic system. 2 of the properties have absolutely no, so it's kind of a joint thing with one of the properties to essentially host a community. That speaks for these 3 properties. So, we're, the IDA contracted with Delaware Engineering. That report is due, the end of this month. Right now, the thinking is that there is sufficient room to do a raised mound system that can support up to, they're shooting 4,000, but at least 750 gallons per day of effluent. That would be sufficient to serve the current identified uses of those 3 projects.
Yeah.
That, because right now they're all just sitting vacant. Well, one has some stuff going in but one is basically falling down because it's a postage stamp lot that is the exact outline of the building. So how do you put a septic system and do something like that?
Yeah.
So it's just really bringing that whole stretch down. So we're working on the septic issue the village of Franklin has also asked for our assistance in helping them with the Restore New York application. Which is a program that will fund up to 90% of renovations to buildings, that are designated by a community. And so we are looking at not only doing the septic system, but including entire renovations to these buildings. That would include residential as well as multiple businesses. One of the properties itself is planned to basically host three separate businesses. So it's like a community redevelopment project. We have, the village of Franklin has submitted a letter of intent for that. For the maximum you can ask for is 2 million. They came in about 1.9 million for the request. A full application is due in October. The amount will probably drop a little bit that we need to do it. But that is a big project for the village of Franklin and has the potential to really upgrade that. So that is item 7D and also 8C. We just covered there. See, covered 2 and 1. Okay, train to work program. Did I include the
Yes.
update to the train to work? Okay, good, because I forgot my copy. But by memory, we've got contracts with 39 businesses. We have committed around 123 in OJT contracts. If you remember, in the spring, we had 135,000 committed. The biggest thing we're running into is we get these contracts written, a business hires somebody, they either no show or they show up for 1 day or a couple days and then they quit, and then we have to start all over again. And so it's a never ending process. So a number of the ones we had previously committed 5,000 are currently 0 because now they have to start a whole process over. Despite that, we knew going in, this was the toughest part of this program, finding people willing to work. So we knew that
She'll come back.
Evan is going to be working on, re-announcing the program and getting some more interest from the business side. Because we had a huge spike that's kind of leveled off over the summer. A lot of things level off the summer. Now that we're getting into the fall, we're going to do another marketing campaign to make sure the businesses are aware of it. The other part of it, dealing with employees, that's just the reality, and we're just going to have to work our way through it. But the ones who are going through it are very happy with it, and it has been successful. Just one I'll highlight, kind of doing a welcome to town type of thing. We're not necessarily targeting the size of business, but we've got a number of these contracts with like Palace down in the fall that purchased their former craft. They're coming in and, we really want to make them aware that we're here to support them. So that program's going well overall. It's just a little frustrating on a day-to-day basis.
But it's a good program. I'm glad you did that.
Yes. Oh, that was also funded through the county, through the American Rescue Plan Fund. The hotel study, we kind of hit a snag over the summer. Basically where we're at is, there is a difference of opinion between the internal rate of return necessary to attract a developer between us at the local level and our consultant. I've been waiting for some input from the college in terms of how we finish off the presentation of this material. And I have to get back to our consultant on it. We're still in contact and we're still talking. So that's a work in progress, but I'm hoping that by the next meeting, we will have at least a draft final report for the board to review. Greenhouse project.
Yeah, so if you remember, big problem with the greenhouse project is the budget just doesn't match what the project cost is projecting. So had the conversation with NYSERDA where we scaled down what the project was going to be to meet the budget. And I haven't heard back completely from them, but I get the feeling that they'll let the solar panels go, they'll let the battery system go, they'll let the electric charging vehicle station go. But they want to keep the footprint because that's how they measure grant success, apparently. So, and if that's true, the cost is still too big for our budget. So, and it did get approved finally by Andy, the town of Andy's planning board, but we're still at a standstill for waiting for more funding. I have a application in for the congressionally directed spending they did in the spring. I haven't heard back. Glenn heard from his contact at Schumer's office that they like the application. That's all we have going for it.
So we over budget.
Projected 150.
What is the total budget that we think?
We'd allocated 450-some thousand for it.
Yeah, 457,000 for,
I saw that one spreadsheet, it was like 590 something.
right.
Yeah,
That's roughly where the budget.
that's about where it is.
So we're trying to get it.
My application is for $150,000. I did just receive an email from the architect asking if he can move forward to the next phase of construction documents, because that will give us more clear, because we are working with still projections right now. The way I see it, I'm not comfortable moving forward the project any further, spending anything. Because once he gets that, then he gets another, payment. At least until we hear back from NYSERDA, because they can even change the grant amount. And even past that, unless the board feels differently, until we have the rest of the funding in place.
We need funding.
Just make sure that's flurried.
we're finding out how expensive this green energy is. And
Yeah.
that's what this whole issue.
I myself, I just don't feel like I can do something. You know, I mean. I don't know what the car count is on between Delhi and Andes, but what if the thing was on the south side of Oneonta on Route 23 where people actually see it? Or it's in Sydney.
As far as, better marketing,
Yeah. Or next to Lucky Dog Farm, Hamden, where there's actually a farm, behind the building. Up the hill from Catskill Regional Harvest, this just doesn't strike me as being.
so
Yeah,
about
but
that.
again, I don't have
Right.
it, I'm just,
Yeah, but as far as I'm concerned, the location doesn't really matter, we can't afford it. The cost of it overseas, the budget we got.
Exactly.
That's the
So
first
as it stands
obstacle,
right now,
right?
it's not gonna go anywhere
Yeah.
because we don't have enough money
You
to
don't have the
build,
money.
whether we put it in Sydney or on Route 10 or anywhere.
But down the
we can't
line,
do it.
yeah, you want it to be
well,
visible.
no, yeah, I mean,
And we did change the location, by the way, probably neither here nor
I
there.
guess it's like, we're not being really paid for the regional harvest. Right, it's either 12 months behind or whatever. And maybe the AMT should look at this thing to find out why it's just not going. I mean, what did we pay for the building?
For the greenhouse
For
building.
originally,
For-
for the, I think it was like 221,000.
Yeah, I thought it was like 300,000. You have $750,000 stuck in that place. I think we would want to do everything possible to put it in a spot or anywhere.
Mhm.
We would want it to be successful, but I don't know how you define success. Other than the square footage for the grant.
Yeah.
That's how they're defining success.
Yeah,
You you get a grant on Route 97 out of Hancock, well, the farther Route 97 goes, the linear miles, the more money you get. Well, that's a success. Okay.
Well, I think I think
don't know,
Mike-
just didn't have enough information.
I think they're in the right spot because the Margaretville Andes spot is the hottest spot in economy wise in this county. And it's a high traffic area and that's where these new,
Car count is more on that road than on Route 23 in Delaware County outside Oneonta.
well, I don't know about the car count.
Well, that's what I'm
But
saying, yeah.
I'm talking about income levels and, you
Yeah,
know,
but greenhouse,
potential market.
in my opinion, it's not going to affect the market at all, where no matter where we put it, it's not like people are stopping to go to the greenhouse. The greenhouse has nothing to do, in my opinion, really with the public. It's just a growing source for year-round growth. But all of this is beside the point. If we can't get enough funding, it's never going to happen,
Anyway,
period, anywhere.
Well, it makes just food for thought, that's all.
And my concern, and Scott, my concern is to have the right person to manage that, and we'll have to figure that out when we get closer. But right now, it's just a discussion, because we're so far away from money,
But
you know, that
And we are missing this construction season. I don't know if that was an update I gave before, but we're not gonna try to make this construction season.
we're making what, missing 30% of the funding cost.
Mhm.
That's just kind of huge.
And, you know, it is projections. But I just still don't. It's not gonna change that much. We're still gonna be over budget. So that's out, unless that's, I just wanted to give my direction of the
Right.
project as of now, so,
But I don't think we should be spending money more on it.
yeah.
And if anything, the price is gonna go up.
yes.
And the federal funding is not due until what, December?
That time will be high.
To hear back from it.
Yeah.
They said it'd come out of committee in August. I haven't heard from them, and then it has to go into an actual bill, and then it's. You know, midterms, so they say, they have no idea what's gonna happen with that, so
Okay,
it's a lot of, I don't know.
But I don't think we should spend more money on engineering costs.
That's what, so that's why I didn't, that's why.
We're just at a standstill.
Good move,
Right, we're,
That's fine.
we're not putting any more money.
good move.
okay.
Oh, sorry,
Staffing.
just the staffing, you know, I talked previously, you know, I was hoping to have somebody new in the office on Monday. Well, at the beginning of this month, right before it was time to formally commit, they backed out. So, I've got some, feelers out there for people, and I'm going to one, you know, but, it just wasn't when they decided to make. So basically, I've got some feelers out for people. I'm looking for, you know, very specific. I mean, obviously, they have to be qualified for the job of economic development specialist. Also looking for a background in agriculture,
It's,
either by education
Florida.
or ideally direct experience. So, speaking with a now retired colleague, they have given me some leads to some contacts at area colleges. And then also one specific individual who I know of, who had had a internship at a local financial institution, and they really like him, making an offer to him that works in the ag realm. So I'm hoping to have a conversation with that person within the next couple of days. If, you know, depending on how that goes, then I'm just gonna have to go out and market for the position, same old as everybody
So
else.
you send the information to Public College.
This person's getting me a contact with a specific person at Colby.
Because that's what-
So,
kind of-
reaching out to Delhi, Oneonta, I've asked Evan to reach out to his program up in Plattsburgh, and reaching out to SUNY Morrisville. Yeah,
So
Yeah.
As Dennis said, a young Evan, which I didn't really like.
You got married.
Ready to be a young Evan, then know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So, yeah. So that's to be determined, but just so you know, I mean. For whatever reason, I was pretty sold that this was gonna happen and this was that. We made a ton of promises this summer about projects we're gonna undertake, so. We're gonna be a little bit,
Yeah, and we'll get burned out, so we need to find them.
but so.
Sooner the better.
Oh, also, I had two resignations from OET as well. So now we're looking for 3 staff people. Just to make it more interesting. Yes, one left and gone. Got a better offer from a prior employer. One's moving down south. What can you do?
Yes,
You
which
know.
is what half of our people do.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Okay. So we'll move on to the site project.
Yeah, go ahead, Sheffield.
Okay, so Sheffield Estates, you know, you may heard that I was down in Walton discussing that. For moving forward, we, do have some plans for what we want to do moving forward. We've talked a number of times about moving, how we want to do that. Working with Sean Letty over at the planning department, what we want to do for a first step is, while Sheffield Estates is a 13-acre parcel, it is a very odd shaped 13-acre parcel. It's basically a horseshoe shape. There are setback restrictions. There's what may or may not be a wet field. There's a stream running through it. So I asked Sean for a proposal to just, taking the survey and documentation we have and all these restrictions, basically come out with what portions of the property are actually developable, what we have to work with, and do some preliminary work of that nature, which would be presented to the IDA board. So I've got a proposal from Sean to do that. At very, basic level type stuff, just to give us some base understanding. In addition to that, Evan's been working with Southern Tier 8 on,
An ARC grant proposal for $25,000 for us to get a master site plan from a landscape architect. And an engineering plan working off of that master site plan for, infrastructure, sewer, water, roads, and possibly natural gas, but that's a whole different conversation. So we're gonna need a resolution that we commit the remaining $25,000 for this, $50,000 planning project.
Thank you.
Need a motion. So moved.
second,
Any discussion? All,
The conversation I had earlier about the board, that it wasn't actually one with welcome. Do you think we're gonna have an objection for Adam Walton on this particular resolution?
the village of Walton is very in favor of it.
Very much.
Yes, you've approached them, they're providing a letter of support for the ARC application.
And all it's doing is planning. It's how to
And
make
it's-
the best
we need
land
to
use.
figure out what the best use of this property is. It's a valuable piece of property. That's business. It's got natural gas, it's got 3-phase electric or whatever it is. And we don't have 13-acre parcels like this anywhere. As the study the county did trying to place highway garage,
And no,
there is none.
no one's considering, no one's considering make this tax exempt. This is
No.
going to be. And so they shouldn't.
we could make it a new landfill.
That's always a good backup threat.
Just saying.
Nobody wants to process beef anymore?
Okay,
So, would be two resolutions, one
Yeah.
for the planning
Yep.
proposal, and then one for
Okay.
this resolution.
all right.
So I'll make a motion for both of them.
second,
All right, any discussion? You got, oh, Tabitha's not here.
She's got it recorded.
Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
All right,
Sydney Winkler,
Sydney,
Winkler.
8 Winkler, possibly.
you handle, yeah, you
Yeah.
handle 8 Winkler in both of them.
Okay, 8 Winkler, an update on selling it.
Selling it, electric, we've got that
Okay.
figured out.
Yeah, electric is finally figured out, and after 3 months, I took the averages and invoiced the industries and Huff paid in full.
Broad, info.
Sorry, yeah, Braun. Awestruck agreed to a payment plan to clean everything up by the end of the year, and I'm still just working on Huff. It's not much, so it's just a communication thing. That's all.
Yeah, anything about a sale of that is on hold for the time being. Okay.
Because of the seller or the buyer?
Buyer.
Kmart. So the Kmart that we are selling, we've signed the purchase and sale agreement, so, and have the title insurance company now has the earnest deposit and thus begins the 90-day investigation period. So hopefully in 90 days, that'll be the end of it, and we'll sell it, and whatever we need, we will get to them.
When's the 90 days up?
November, it was a couple.
Yeah, I
weeks ago.
signed it last week, I think, so, yeah, so it's, yeah, end of November.
That's the one behind Mickey D's, right?
Yes.
Yep.
That's the fall D's baby.
Yes.
Mhm.
Well done, Kelly.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Other Kmart, we had a plan of possibly putting a bid in. Before that, we got calls that it's gonna go for probably well over what our plan was gonna bid, so we just kept an eye on it, and sure enough, it was a 3-day auction, and by day 2, it was above our asking price and sold for 1.2.
Yeah, well, we went close to the 1.5.
Yeah, it did. To an auction house that's slightly local but out of county, and will be opening similar operations in there. They're pretty successful.
Well, their prior history was they were in Delaware County for.
Yeah, they used to be in Walton.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Jim and I met with the owner of that company, he's got big plans, and, yeah, I think he'll make good use of the facility.
They're good business people.
Yeah,
Yeah, we met
Yep.
over there for about half a day with the new owner, and I think it was a very good experience. And I want to thank the county for stepping in. I called the county and asked them to see, not to bid on it, and I put them in a really bad situation, but I appreciate the help that they had, because we had some local people sitting by it, but thanks for
Right.
working with us and getting that done. I think it'll be a good addition to the village and a good addition to the county.
and it helped that it went for more than twice what we were willing to bid.
Yeah.
Even if we didn't stop.
Well, it's funny because he just made a little bit over what they were asking.
Yep.
And there were just 1 or 2 bidders,
Mhm.
and I talked to him the day of the bidding. And he was waiting till about a half hour before, because it didn't move, it just stayed at that price, and all of a sudden, a half hour before, they went to a price. They disagree or didn't agree to what he offered. They came back to him and negotiated.
During the auction,
Right at the end, they
Right at the
came
end,
back
wow.
to him and negotiated. They said, we won't accept the price that you
Yeah.
gave. Will you go to this price? And he agreed to go.
Very good.
That's different than an auction, weird.
yeah. Well, because I had to register, it was a very interesting, these online auctions. It was really interesting to communicate with them.
Good.
Good, hope it works well.
The last one I should have done in executive session, so all I'm gonna say is. A potential local prospect is interested in our last remaining vacant lot in the Sydney Industrial Park, as well as we call it the water bottling facility parcel, or as a backup, maybe in the new industrial park. I just don't want, I can't say publicly who it is.
So has that person reached out to the following people?
I provided the contact information to the person.
Good.
That must be the double secret probation.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, then down to grants. So, 4 of my 5 CFAs have either been, well, I guess they've all been postponed. But they're still good projects. We'll hopefully get to them at some point. The one we did submit one for, Clark Farmstead Creamery, Clark Farms Milk. They want to do roughly $1.3 million expansion, triple their processing capacity, add in a cheese house, increase their butter capacity, which is on a 6-week wait time. I don't know who waits 6 weeks for butter, but apparently they do. And also do some other product lines. So that's been well received already by the regional reps. So hopefully we'll be moving forward with that.
They have a pretty good marketing plan. They were at the Delaware County Fair. And they had the option of like 20,000, 30,000 people seeing them and their product. So they got a real good one.
Yep, yeah, they're very good. Very impressed with the owner. I mean, he's 24 and maybe 26. 24, 26.
Very smart business.
Very smart, knows his business inside and out, from the production side, from, cows and crops all the way on through processing and sales and everything like that.
Great instincts, great just business instincts.
Yes.
Handling customers, the product,
Yeah,
just a really nice instinct.
yeah.
Yep.
SUNY Warnersville graduate, that's why I'm. SUNY Warnersville.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm gonna get another one of those.
Good option.
Yeah. And then Evan's in the middle of working on a tourism
I
application.
submitted it.
Submitted it.
Yeah, I
Ooh,
submitted
cool.
2 tourism applications, a brand new. CARES Act funded ESD grant program where you can't spend it on construction. It's all soft cost marketing costs from county TPAs, which we are one now. And very expensive project we've always had in the back of our mind is an interactive outdoor recreation map of Delaware County. Because we have a lot of assets, but they're hard to find, it's just. Even someone was asking me came into the office to try and ask how to get to the Catskill Scenic Trail. So that was interesting. And so this map would have everything on it. You hover over it and it's going to show you, maybe take you to the website of, Catskill Scenic Trail, pictures, how to get there, phone number, stuff like that.
Fully adapted for, phone friendly as well as full screen on a computer.
And that's what's so important about getting the extra person, because there's just so much money floating out there. If you can find it and submit it and have the time to do the application.
Yep.
I mean, there's money everywhere.
Well, Evan has basically transitioned over to tourism. So he's that guy. It's the other grants and stuff where we're looking for.
And this is a project that's been looked at and studied forever. I mean, I remember when I was doing the tourism program, we really wanted to do that, but didn't have the money.
A lot of the assets are in place at planning.
Yep.
So we have a leg up on this.
Yep.
Another thing I'd like to point out that, like the tourism grants, I went out proactively, 2 operations in Davenport, they applied and got money. Right, so I think we're not reaching people yet on the availability, and you're projecting a nice year this year.
Yes.
And so there's money to be done. If you have a lodging industry, ring their doorbell, and it's not a difficult process. They're very happy, and I took a look at one of those projects well underway,
Mhm.
and it's enhancing our
Yep.
capacities. Very nice.
Yeah, so he submitted 2 applications. One is just a base for that, and then one is an entirely additional marketing campaign that is tied in with the app, but just sells it on. So we wanted to it's gonna be very competitive. You can put in more than 1 application. So we put one that is basically at the minimum size allowable,
250,000,
250, and then one that builds upon that, 400,
like 350, I think, 375, yeah.
375. So, yeah.
It's just.
Good.
It's there, we kind of.
Okay. Any other old or new business under the IDA? I've got a couple things that I just want to mention. In the packet that was emailed out is a copy of a report that was done by Shelley at County Planning on the census data from the most recent county census. And if you dig into that report, it breaks it down by township. So there's one page where it shows the county overall, and then there's 19 pages attached for the individual towns. County population now, according to the census, stands at 44,308, down 7.7% from the 10 years ago. And the alarming thing that I saw was that each page has a thing that shows housing statistics. And the alarming thing that I'm seeing is a 35.9% vacancy rate. So we got trouble in this county with our census data. I think there's a lot of problems in the census data because I think a lot of the new residents that I talked about earlier that have moved up here because of COVID, it got missed just because of the timing of everything. I think a lot of the marketing efforts that county planning had underway got side railed by COVID and never happened. And I think when you combine all of that, we got a real disaster here in our report card.
I think that you got some problems with that report.
No, we do, I agree. But unfortunately, we're stuck with it for the next 8 years. And we're paying the price. I mean, it's already cost New York 1 seat in Congress.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's going to impact New York State in a lot of other ways as we go forward over the next 8 years.
When you say 35.9% vacancy rate, you're saying that there's that many houses or dwellings within the county that have nobody in them?
Yes, and I'm thinking, yeah,
Yeah, that's definitely. Incorrect.
Yeah.
Well,
I know.
but what is that? I thought that was the number I heard for full-time residents being converted to short-term rentals. That we're about 1/3 of our housing stock.
well, it's a factor in it. Yes, I
Is
think,
that in that figure?
I think, yeah. And I think there's another factor
If
in
that's in that figure, that's accurate.
some of these dwellings here are owned by someone downstate.
Right.
And they're just a second home. So that counts as a vacant
Okay.
building.
Yeah.
So,
There's-
but
That's different than the one that.
We're not talking about abandoned houses.
no, but a lot of those have been occupied now and they never got counted in the census. So I think this census is a disaster. And, you know, a lot of federal programs rely on the census
Okay, funding.
for eligibility for funding and so forth. So,
It's that conversion that we're suffering.
yep. So I just wanted everybody to have access to that. It was so much paper, I didn't want to bother to mail it. Thought it'd be easier to do it this way. And the other thing
Do you have the link for that?
It is in the drive.
there's a hard copy in Drive, Google Drive. The other thing that I wanted to mention is Evan and I have been working with Cornell Cooperative Extension on this ag grant proposal or ongoing. The applications are coming in. The Cornell Cooperative Extension posts the applications as they come in on an internal website, which I have access to. And because I'm supposed to be reviewing them and scoring them, helping with reviewing and scoring. As of yesterday, we only had 4 applications in. And the applications close on September 2nd. And I believe there were 4 more that I just looked here a few minutes ago, 4 more that came in, but 3 of the 4 look a little bit funky, and I think it may be an error there. So not an overwhelming response to that, which really surprises me.
Yes.
I'm sure the last day, September 2nd, there'll be a bushel basket of them come in the door, but as of right now, it's pretty quiet. So, and does anybody else got anything else for the IDA meeting? Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn, please? And thank you. And we'll go ahead and I'll open the LDC. I need an approval for the minutes. Discussion, all in favor? Do you need approval for the financial reports and the invoices to be paid? Discussion, all in favor? Item number 4 is the update to the LDC bylaws. We enclosed a copy of the current LDC bylaws for all of you to take a look at in your packet. Glenn made some editorial changes that he felt were mostly housekeeping in nature to the bylaws of the LDC. I mentioned earlier that we're trying to reorganize a little bit where the IDA is going to hold property that we are buying for development purposes and do the pilot agreements and the bond financing. And the LDC is where the actual hard mortgage financing is going to take place. And it's a gradual process where we've got loans outstanding at the IDA, which we have to wind down and then make the changeover.
Just one question. Says it shall consist of 9 members. That's so we can grow the board.
One of
That
the,
was the main impetus for it, was to add a few more board.
Right.
Okay.
and see, the IDA is limited to 7 board members by state law. So we're at the max, we can't expand at all. But the LDC is not limited other than by the bylaws. So we felt that it would be best to change the bylaws of the LDC, which is where all the lending is going to be done anyway. And open up the board for the LDC board to add a couple of more members.
Which would also give us members for potential to the idea
Right.
of someone.
And probably what I'll do if we do all this is I'll switch the board meetings around, the agenda around. And we'll cover the LDC first and the IDA second in our agenda from now on. And that way the new board members can participate in the whole thing. And my feeling is I'd welcome their input, even though they aren't voting members of the IDA, that I'd welcome their input. Any discussions?
Drawing pool for replacement members here. Some of us are getting old.
Only if you hold them.
Yeah, that includes me now, apparently.
Yeah, right. So, yeah.
If you had a chance to look at those changes, basically it was increasing from 7 to 9, and then I did make some changes under secretary and treasurer. Basically just to try to reflect that these were written when there was no staff. And there is staff now, and that staff performs on a day-to-day basis many of these functions of those officers, and just to clarify that. That was the way.
Okay, so do we need a motion to accept?
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor of changing the bylaws? Opposed? Okay, thank you. Glenn, what what are the grant updates, the OCR and CARES?
So CARES Act,
Yes, so if you remember, the CARES Act funding is two parts, helps people recoup some losses that they didn't get back from COVID relief funds. At the same time, helps projects that were in reaction, recovery, resilience, and I forget the other one from COVID. And so if you remember, we kind of put in 1.75, they pared us down to 500 because of competition. We put an application in, they liked it so much, they're giving us 800 for when they're putting, okay. September 6th is the board meeting. Before then, they asked us to put an increased amount before. So the writing on the wall is, plus they wanted us to increase our administrative and
to the maximum.
program marketing costs to the maximum 5%, program or an admin, 10, either way, 150, about $150,000 for program and admin. So really it's a $950,000 grant, with some of it earmarked for program and admin.
Although at the end, we'll basically ask their permission to switch it from program and admin back into the actual purpose.
So that's a big one.
Good, congratulations.
Definitely start getting the word out to, because that needs to be spent in 12 months. Basically just double. Huh?
Be real old.
Yeah, I guess so.
There you go.
Yep, so a big marketing push for that. They want that spent in 12 months.
So when do the funds become available to us?
So September 6th approval, a month, you said
Yeah,
usually?
Yeah. So once we get the approval, there'll be paperwork that we have to do. But we'll probably immediately announce a funding round. And, give people 30 days to put applications together and then, start moving. Because also, I think, yes, they're gonna give us 800 upfront. If we prudently, but efficiently use up that money, we may get one.
Wonderful.
Good.
Yeah, that's
Good.
Okay,
Yeah.
micro enterprise program, that's gonna be a $300,000 program. Grants of up to $35,000 plus an educational component that we're working through with Growth Wheel. So we're in the process of working on that application now. Just this week, the Board of Supervisors passed a resolution to hold a public hearing at the meeting in September, which is a prerequisite for submitting the grant. My intention is that we'll submit the grant. I don't know, maybe even the day after the board passes that resolution. So end of September, early October. So, that was, in the CARES Act, we wanted money, while it's technically for those who lost money and those who had changes due to COVID. It wasn't the way we originally wanted it, some businesses benefited from it. Well, they don't really want to help those businesses. So they said, no, that can't be in your CARES Act. So that's why we got pared down. And then they're like, but you could do those type of businesses through a micro enterprise program. So that's where we all tying together.
Yeah, good.
Any update on IRP 5? Nothing. Yeah. So that's probably going to be tied up into with the federal budget, which I'm sure will be on time this year. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, the last item we got to work on is the approval of the Kennedy application that we talked about in executive session, Kennedy Plumbing.
so moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. And if there's no other business, I'd like a motion to adjourn.
Not bad.
Good job. Thanks, everybody.
Not bad.
That was quite a list.